Ink-a-dink, 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 ink-a-dink. Wow! So, you say this is a book called, I haven't looked at it yet, but you say this book that I'm glancing through is about this happens, so get over it. Yeah, okay, well, I'm glancing through it. And I understand, yeah, it makes sense, this happens. Turn difficulties into learning opportunities, quote, allegedly from Albert Einstein, makes sense. Think of all the beauty still left around you and be happy, allegedly a quote from Anne Frank, which I guess would be out of the book wait. American proverb. And it's not this happens. So on the top of every page has a little commode. And this one almost at the very end. Matter of fact, it is at the very end. And it's not. Oh, that's a good thing we're not taping yet, because that'd be a bit embarrassing to. We are. Okay. Good evening. Welcome to Basil BuddhaCat Presents. I am Basil's co-host, interpreter-in-chief gopher, as Basil has reminded all of us. Oh, here comes Snarky and Tweety. Okay, so we've got the crew going now. Okay, but I see the little red dot, and apparently I'm not really keen to that red dot, or else I would have known that we were taping. So there you go. How long have we been taping? Basil says, if you start from the beginning of the Basilathon, about 4 years. It feels that way, doesn't it? So, a friend of the show, looks like friend of the show, Kevin Gallagher, has helped us out. We've been trying to determine, based on the letters in the title, President Barack Hussein Obama, we've been trying to figure out where exactly he may have been born. And we had born in China, born in Cuba, born in Casbah. We've got a lot of interesting ideas and clues as to where, if he wasn't born in Hawaii, because you notice that if you look at the letters in President Barack Hussein Obama, you do not get born in Hawaii out of them. So we decided that Kevin Gallagher might be onto something, but here he's left us. Okay, this is one that we like. A little. Wait a second. Hold on. One of our studio guests seems to have. Okay. Now we're all together. Okay. Okay. Says birthers suck on PA_INS blank AM blank AME blank ABE blank ad. And that reminds me, it's time for wait. What the L do all those blank letters represent? Because you have birthers, suck on PA_INS blank AME blank ABE blank ad. So what the hell do all those blank letters represent? Because apparently they're extra letters that are not in Maybe they're the Hawaiian Islands. I don't know. So, okay, thanks again, Kevin, for giving us food for a few of our shows. So, we're okay, wake up. Okay. So, thanks for giving us some food for a few shows talking about that all important subject. I mean, apparently, a little country out in the Middle East called Iraq has been in the process of being overrun by some folks not friendly with the current Iraqi government, and or apparently not friendly with the current Iraqi people, most of them. But here we go. We've got they warned us, didn't they? The Republicans in the Congress have been all over the news warning us that unless we do something, and they don't quite know what that is, but there's something that apparently we should be doing, that Iraq will be problematic. Well, Basil. Now this is going back a few years. This is going back to 2003 when a certain country, first of all, told the president of that country to leave, and then in the middle of the night dropped a lot of bunker buster bombs on the city of Baghdad, trying to root out that one guy. And you can only guess how many people are killed in a city when you drop the kind of bombs on it that'll not only destroy a building, but will break into, carve out a big enough hole to go 10 stories down into the ground, trying to root out that bad guy, as they called him. Now, Donald Rumsfeld didn't call him that when he was shaking hands with him and making a deal, was he? Basil said, Donald Rumsfeld. I remember that name very clearly. He said something like, there was some... Basil says, yeah, he remembers about those weapons of mass destruction, those chemical weapons and biological weapons and nuclear weapons and imaginary weapons that were located as Rumsfeld. And I'll try to quote him hand and mouth on it. Well, they're north, south, east, and west of Baghdad. So, didn't find him. And we warned. Basil did, certainly. Basil wrote a very charming letter to former President George W. Bush back in 2000 and early 2003, thanking him for not invading Iraq, not taking advantage of the opportunity to invade Iraq, looking for Taliban members that weren't there at the time, for going after the Taliban in a little country called Afghanistan, or as our friend Robert Older calls it, Afland. And doing what we felt was the right thing, going after the folks that actually attacked us. And prescient remarks by Basil in that letter, saying that if we were to invade Iraq, ruled by a dictator that, by the way, was sworn enemy to a little country next door named Iran. And sometimes you can get those two countries confused. Iraq and Iran, they only have one letter that separates them, an N and a Q, and very confusing to members of the Sarah Palin crowd. That if we were to invade Iraq and destabilize the country with a war that lasted 11 years so far, if you count up to modern day, when we're going into this this new, very unfortunate phase of the invasion, occupation, and so on. That if you destabilize that government, that bad things would happen. Saddam Hussein was the sworn opponent of Iran. They had fought a war, the two countries, and during that war, a little country called the United States and its president Ronald Reagan, and trailing on over into the administration of George H.W. Bush, given Saddam Hussein a lot of chemical, biological weapons to use against Iran in the war, because Iraq was our enemy, and Iran was our enemy. So we chose the two. We chose sides in it. We chose winners and losers. If I can borrow that phrase from our friend Marty Heiser, talking about our government doing what used to be called Small Business Association loans, SBA loans, and Marty's turned them into a bad thing too. But anyway, so we invaded Iraq, we destabilized the government, we got rid of the bad guy, and all of a sudden now Iran is the powerhouse in the East, in the Middle East, because there's no Iraq there that's stable and able to be a countermeasure to or a counterpoint to Iran. So there we go. So that's what we were worried about happening out loud. That's what the Bush administration ignored, and here we are, 11 years later. And one of the guys that's complaining about it the most, about if we don't do anything, is a fellow by the name of Mr. John McCain, Senator John McCain. And you remember John's middle name is, from what he ran for president, was Bomb Iran. And I guess that's a name his family gave him, his parents gave him to just give him a little future heads up on what he ought to be talking about. So Senator John McCain is saying we got to do something, and of course he also said, because Senator McCain served his country, served it well, in a little war in a country called Vietnam. Was that a war, or was that a... Now, Korea was a police action. Vietnam was sort of like a police action. It wasn't a declared war. We sat on the side of the South Vietnamese government. And Senator McCain is still contending that if we only stayed in Vietnam another 40 years, we could have won that war too. So, don't give up. That's the message. Don't give up. If you're doing something that looks stupid, keep on doing it. Because eventually it'll happen. Eventually history will prove you right. Or not. So, okay, so back to this, birthers. Suck on PA_INS, blank AME, blank ABEL. Ad. Oh, okay, yeah. I guess that's the thrust of this whole thing. Is we need to do our obligatory ads. So where do we start? Dermasil apparently is not in maybe the formula that's in the Dermasil container disintegrated the container and everything around it. I don't see any hole in the table though. My hands still seem to be part of my body. Basil's necktie is it didn't get any of the Dermasil on it. But anyway, so we can't do them. They're not paying us. They're not providing us with a proper visual. So not going to do it. Sorry. So but we will go back to Schweppes with Schweppervescence. It has got. Oh, there it is. Okay, I found it. I thought I was going to maybe have to punch a hole in the bottom of it and drain a little in. I don't think this is Dermasil in it by accident, is it? Okay, let's try it. It's Schweppervescence. There you go, Basil. Okay. And also, Basil BuddhaCat Presents, sponsored by what used to be known as A&W Root Beer, made with aged vanilla. And did we ever figure out how old it is? I mean, nothing lasts forever. Well, there's this little pretend foam at the top of the barrel, disguised as a can. Okay, but here's the thing: for our show, there's been a P added, so it's Pause Root Beer. Pause for refreshment. Okay. You'll have to get your straw out again, because and your straw is going to have to be able to take in looks like the Norwegian forest cat's turned into a vacuum cleaner. Well, an inert vacuum cleaner. Walter, you come up? No. She says she does not favor Pause root beer. So at any rate, so Basil's got his comfy slippers on. His where the wild things are slippers, and we're all happy and gotten past the Cinco de Junio, gotten beyond Father's Day. And do you have any plans for the 4th of July, Basil? Basil says, meow. Says he's going to take his boat out on Candlewood Lake and do a little spin around the lake. Are you going with our good friend Chris Robinson? Remember, he's the one that he and I have an obligatory hello, which involves me calling him Dwight Eisenhower, Dwight, and him calling me Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy. Yep, that's the one. Yep. So at any rate, we actually have a show for today? Are we actually doing a show? Could there be a show on tap for today? Or are we just running the camera for the sake of fun? I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll do the and thanks to our friend Bill Murray, who's got a cot and sacked out in the audience now. He seems to be a permanent fixture. Glad to have you, Bill. And Bill's the one that gave us the idea of doing the. They hate it when I do this to reach out to the spirit world. So at any rate, I don't see any. I don't hear any response yet. So how about this? How about we have another? Oh, that's right. We have another sponsor now. It's not the Magic 8 Ball. Well, maybe it is magic because it's it purports to be an 8 ball. Only you'll notice now with 50% more 8 ball. 12, yeah, there you go. Basil's no slouch when it comes to mathematics. He's got his geometry. He's got his algebra. He favors Boolean algebra. He says And that's kind of the language of with the language of the computer language evolved out of Boolean algebra. And so 8-ball now with 50% more ball. Okay. You want me to try one more time? Should I try? I guess I don't have to. Now this is on the middle size phone, not on the little phone or the big cat in the hat phone. So hello, good evening. Basil BuddhaCat presents, and who might be calling in? And you don't need to tell me because Tweety is checking his caller ID, and he's gonna pretty soon. Tweety says he wants a little more notoriety in order to continue doing his part of the work, in order to I heard Tweety's response in stereo. Oh, yes, Basil BuddhaCat presents. May we help you? Well, no wonder. It's Tweety. Okay. Oh yeah, I see you've got your cell phone hanging off one of your wings. Okay. So is this a way to yeah. Tweety says we're going to have to interview he and Snarky sooner or later. And Tweety has sent in order to encourage us, he sent us one of his feathers, and he sent us the Norwegian forest cat as his emissary. Okay, so Walter. Okay, Basil, I think we're stuck. I think Tweety is going to keep calling in until we actually do an interview with he and Snarky. So, okay. Basil says, "Go ahead. We're a captive audience." Now the audience isn't a captive audience. They can click us off at any. Hey, come back. No. That was not a suggestion. Okay, and everybody in the studio, don't leave. No. Come on back. Okay, so Tweety, tell us about yourself. Who are you? Where do you come from? What brought you to this place in time? And that's the way I conduct interviews on Progressive Soup. We start off with a little background on our guest. And what do you mean? Who do we have coming up on Progressive Soup? Well, recently we've had. Remember, we've had Robert. We've had Alfonso Robinson, Al Robinson, on the show. We've had Lauren and Lorenzo Volpentesta come on to talk about social media. Al's been on to talk about Danbury politics, social media, the blogging, and the passing along of news from point A to point B via point Z, something like that. So, and we've got coming on the show, upcoming, we've got a number of good guests. We've got Phil Charlack, who's a candidate for the 26th State Senate seat, which encompasses a portion of Bethel, travels down and ends up in Westport with part of Reading. You've got Weston, you've got a part of Wilton, part of Richfield, you've got part of Westport. So that's the thing. We've got him coming on. We've got we're planning on having current Governor Dan Malloy of Connecticut, who visited Progressive Soup 3 times when he was a candidate for governor, and we're reaching out to him to come on back and talk about what's going on in Connecticut and what he feels the state's accomplished in his first 4 years nearly, and what he is looking to accomplish in the rest of his term, and perhaps going forward to a second term. So that's it. We've got them scheduled. We've got someone from the probably, I think, the SEIU, the Service Employees International Union, which encompasses a lot of particularly, they represent a lot of relatively lower wage earners in America, restaurant workers, hotel workers, and work to keep them heading in the direction of not just a minimum wage, because that doesn't say anything, but a living wage whereby people can actually afford food on their table. They can afford a roof over their heads. They can afford transportation to and from work, and hopefully not work many more than 40 hours a week between the 1 job, 2 jobs, 3 jobs. A lot of people, of course, work 50, 60 hours a week. You have couples that are working, or 2 adult households that work 50, 60 hours a week, each one of them, and barely earn enough of an income to get by. And thankfully, with the new healthcare law, at least they've got healthcare, which is good, so they can get preventative visits to the doctor to keep them healthy, and not have to worry about those emergency room visits that cost so much money and end up being borne by the taxpayer anyway. So the taxpayer might as well subsidize good quality, affordable, preventative medicine. But okay, so that's what we got coming up on Progressive Soup. Who the heck knows what beyond that? We've got a lot of ideas. We've got a lot of lines cast in the water. But again, so Tweety, I see Tweety up there, sort of hanging on his perch, and appears to be. I'm hearing some snoring through the phone. Well, Tweety, we tried. We filibustered a little bit to hold back on the length of your interview. Snarky, likewise, we'll get to you. We will get to you in due course, relatively soon. And I don't know. I think that's about all we have time for today or this evening on Basil BuddhaCat Presents. Basil BuddhaCat, host of the show and the important throne. I'm David Stevenson, Basil's co-host, interpreter, and chief gopher, and we will be back on Sunday morning with more fun and games and fun. Bye.
They say they'd rob your grandma blind on Wall Street, fritter her away her Medicare on Wall Street, and Pharma Oil and their pet fox don't care if she lives in a box, so long as they wear platinum jocks on Wall Street, Meow. Ink-a-dink, 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 ink-a-dink. Wow!
So, you say this is a book called, I haven't looked at it yet, but you say this book that I'm glancing through is about this happens, so get over it. Yeah, okay, well, I'm glancing through it. And I understand, yeah, it makes sense, this happens. Turn difficulties into learning opportunities, quote, allegedly from Albert Einstein, makes sense. Think of all the beauty still left around you and be happy, allegedly a quote from Anne Frank, which I guess would be out of the book wait. American proverb. And it's not this happens. So on the top of every page has a little commode. And this one almost at the very end, matter of fact, it is at the very end. And it's not that's a good thing we're not taping yet, because that'd be a bit embarrassing to